Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll just give it another couple of minutes to allow more participants to join, and we'll start in a bit. Thank you. depending on your time zone. Definitely hope it's not good night for some, so you can still get your sleep. My name is Denisa. I'm with Jubaili Bros Solar. I am based in Dubai. And today you are joining a webinar on the topic of reliable PV systems for CNI sector in demanding climates. This is a joint webinar between Jubaili Bros Solar and Jinko Solar. To give you a little bit of briefing about our company, Jubaili Bros group is a family-owned business started in Lebanon in the late 70s. And it's expanded throughout the Middle Eastern and African region over the last 40 years. Today we're going to talk about a very hot topic, literally, using solar equipment in demanding climates, and what that entails. There's some aspects that we will cover, such as efficiency, quality, and technology. As you know, Jinko Solar is a very progressive company that always strives to offer the most innovative solutions and capture the most of the sun power. So I'll give you the agenda. We have today with us our presenters, Walid Al-Halaj. He's with Jinko Solar. And then we have Nick Lesson, who will be doing an introduction on Jubaili Bros Solar and the Huawei Fusion Solar Solutions. Some housekeeping rules for you to remember. So this webinar will be, the duration is 1 hour, and we will begin with a small survey with 2 questions just to capture a little bit of information about our audience. It won't take more than a minute. After that, I will enable the Q&A mode. If you look at your bottom right box, there is a chat box there. Once I enable the Q&A mode, you'll be able to mark your messages as a question, and at the end of the session, we'll be able to filter them and select them to be answered by our presenters. At the end of this session, you will be receiving a certificate of attendance and a copy of the presentations. And this webinar is recorded, so if you join us late or you would like to watch it later, you'll have access to a link on YouTube where you can do that. So yeah, what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and share the survey with you and give you a little bit of time to fill it up. Here you go. I think my favorite part of the survey is when it fills up with EPC contractors, developers, and consultants. So, but either way, even if you are not one of these entities, we're still happy to connect with you. I think everyone's migrating towards solar. We see a lot of construction companies that now offer solar to their customers as an add-on. Even with finance, we see a lot of MEP companies that migrate towards solar and start hiring engineers. And yeah, we see consultants diversifying their portfolio. So we're really addressing everyone. We're happy to connect with you and happy to offer you our services. Our current territory coverage is the Middle East and Africa. We also cover Afghanistan and Pakistan and Central Asia. So yeah, you can send us all your inquiries on our email address. I think the email address should be visible on the system. Otherwise, we'll make sure we send it to everyone that registered for this event. Apologies, I'm a little nervous. This is the first event I'm moderating, so I hope I don't do anything wrong and boot everyone out of this event. So I'll try not to touch anything. Okay, so I'm guessing we can go ahead and close the survey. I think we have a lot of votes so far. Perfect. So cool. Then we'll go ahead and end the voting. There's no votes. Nick, can you hear me properly? Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure I'm heard. Okay, then we'll go ahead, and the sequence is, so each presenter will have 10 minutes, and the round of questions at the end will take 10 minutes. If we see there's more that hasn't been covered, then we'll extend that. So we'll go ahead with Mr. Walid Al-Halaj, and please go ahead and introduce yourself and get your presentation started. Thank you.
With the Jubaili Bros, one of our partners and our main partner in the Gulf region. Basically, it is a very important topic, and I believe companies that look for reliability and durability of their projects are the best companies, and the companies that would like to keep a very good reputation in their projects. I am going to start my presentation. Just a second. Okay. All right, so basically we are going to cover the reliability issue of PV modules in harsh and demanding climates, which is the issue in the Middle East and Africa, basically, which is the region we all work at. My name again is Walid Al-Halaj. I am the Business Development Manager in charge of Middle East and North Africa. I am going to try to focus on the topic, so I'm not gonna do a lot of details outside that. But just for people who are not familiar with Jinko Solar, Jinko Solar is the only company in the world that has installed more or supplied more than 70 gigawatt of solar modules globally. We have a global market share of we have a global market share of we have a global market share of a little bit more than 14%, and basically we have more than 30 gigawatt of annual production for this year, 17 world records in terms of efficiency. Last one of them was for TopCon N-type module. So basically, we are one of the biggest companies. We are the only company that stayed on the top for 4 consecutive years, and we'd like to always keep our place as a #1 supplier. We have 12 production facilities, as you can see, divided between China, Vietnam, Malaysia, and the US. We have over 25,000 employees with 30 service centers around the region. Just to give you an idea about our contribution into the market, basically these are the biggest markets in 2020. So we are talking about China, USA, Vietnam, Japan, Germany, Australia, Brazil, Korea, India, and the Netherlands. And Jinko Solar is very proud to be #1 market shareholders in 7 of these 10 markets, including Japan, Germany, the US, which are markets that are extremely demanding in terms of technical aspects and the quality. Therefore, we always say that we focus a lot on providing the best quality, the best reliability for our modules. And this is why we have a very good market share, to be honest, in the Middle East region and Africa as well. Basically, we provide, we are a vertically integrated module manufacturer. So we supply wafer, cell, module. And we have 2 other solutions that we have added, which are the building integrated photovoltaics and the energy storage systems. We're going to focus on the modules in this presentation, in this webinar. and focus on this very important topic, which is the reliability. As I know, I have been checking the attendees. I know a few people, and they know I was in the EPC before joining Jinko Solar, and I understand the importance of reliability because it was always an important matter. And the thing about reliability, speaking of reliability, it is something that cannot be measured just evaluating the data sheet, because a reliability of a product means what's going to happen after 5 years, after 10 years. And especially in our region, we are talking about 5, 10, 20, 25, maybe a little bit more than that, of harsh climate, of high temperature, of high humidity, and these two are the enemies of solar modules, basically. So it is very important that we understand that efficiency is something that you can read in a data sheet. Technology is whether we are using the monopic, the half cut, the bifacial. This is a technological issue that you can check. Quality is a quality, it's good. You can investigate quality, and quality is related to reliability, because the better the quality is, the more reliable your product is going to be after years of using in these climates. So reliability is an issue. Actually, big companies focus on reliability a lot, and they focus on reliability through two things. They ask for the bill of material that is going to be used for the modules. And the second thing is that they ask for extensive testing, which are few tests that are not common. It is not related to the IEC standard testing that all the companies go through. And these tests take the modules and they put them through some severe conditions to see what is going to happen after years of installation. And basically, I have built my entire presentation showing two main third-party analyses. The first one is done by DuPont, and basically they have investigated, they have updated the numbers, to be honest, and but the percentages are pretty much the same. So we are talking about a third party who took 6.5 million modules from all over the world, almost 2 gigawatt of modules, and they have investigated these modules, and they have discovered that almost 33% of these modules are defected, which is a very, very high number. If you think of it, 1 out of every 3 modules installed were defected based on this analysis. When they have analyzed the defects, they have discovered that the most common part that fails is the backsheet. So basically, the backsheet, for people who are not familiar, the backsheet is the backside of the module. It's usually using a polymer, which is some type of plastic. And this part is, of course, it is outside. So it gets air, it gets rain, it gets heat, it gets all these conditions. And it is very important because it keeps the module sealed completely. And if it is not a very good quality, then the problem is going to be that the module is going to be affected. The internal parts of the module is going to be affected to things that can destroy completely a module. So when they have analyzed these failure rates in the backsheet, they have discovered that the material used in the backsheet is almost 100% in charge of the defects that happen. So if you look at it, the PA defects, where almost half of the defected backsheets were made of this material. When it was glass, when it was PVDF, when it was PET, FEV, and there is this Tedlar. So Tedlar is basically the best backsheet module supplier in the world. This type of backsheet, the commercial name is Tedlar. They have proven a failure rate of less than 0.05%, with the closest competitor having 2.3% out of the field. So this shows that this material is considered to be a premium material in terms of backsheet. And actually, it was one of the reasons why me, as an EPC, before joining Jinko, to focus a lot on Jinko. I have not supplied any other module other than Jinko in the last 4 years of my EPC then because of the backsheet problems, because I have seen with my own eyes, and everybody here who have been in the field, you can see problems that happen in the backsheet. You can see the backsheet turning yellow. You can see some cracks. You can see some issues that you can tell that the backsheet is not a very good material. And when it comes to Tiddler, there is nothing even compared to Tiddler according to third parties analysis. And Tiddler backsheet is a standard component in Jinko Solar, and this is something extremely important. Tiddler is not Jinko Solar. It is a third-party supplier that supplies backsheet, but Jinko Solar considers this product as a standard product. So if you buy a Jinko module, the standard is going to be a Tiddler backsheet. But if you go for other suppliers, you have to emphasize that I want a Tiddler backsheet because I'm installing this project in Oman, in Kuwait. You know what was the temperature in Kuwait like a couple of weeks ago? It was a little bit around 70 Celsius in the sun, which is crazy. And if you're installing it next to the sea where humidity is very high, you have to make sure that you are using the best backsheet for the best durability. And usually companies add a premium for Tiddler backsheet, while Jinko Solar use it as a standard option. And this is something extremely important in the bill of material comparisons. So this is something for everyone who is considering using Jinko Solar module. We are providing you with a backsheet that is sustainable under any circumstances, especially in harsh conditions like the Middle East. Another test, which is something that is becoming very popular, which is called the PQP test, which is Product Quality Program. And the beauty of this test, it's open online, it's free of charge. Anybody in our guests can go now online and download this test and see the results themselves. The beauty of this test that this test does not comply with the IEC because they believe the IEC is a little bit too easy to pass. So let's take, for example, the thermal cycling test. In the IEC standard, you have to pass 200 cycles where they take the module temperature to the minimum and then to the maximum, minimum, maximum. These are the cycles. And then they leave the module to do characterization, and they check the efficiency. If it is reduced in less than a certain percentage, then the module pass. In this test, they don't do it for 200 cycles, they do it for 600 cycles, and this is the test for 2020. So basically what they do is that they take the module and they push it to extreme conditions. In the damp heat, instead of 1000 cycles, we are talking about 2000 cycles. And in the PID test, instead of 96 hours, they do 296 hours. So basically they hold the module, they push it to the extreme conditions in order to see what is going to happen to the module on the long term under severe conditions. And the beauty also of this test is that you do not know what is going to be the text for next year. So you cannot prepare as a supplier, as a module supplier, you cannot prepare your modules to pass this test. So what you do is that you have to build the best test, because this is the test for 2020. For 2021, they don't announce it after the results. They only announced what the tests were. So there could be new tests added that you were not considering at all, or there could be some tests, let's say the thermal cycling for 600 cycle, maybe next time it's going to be for 800. Maybe it's going to be for 1000 cycle. So usually you have to prepare your modules, and also they come to the factory, they make sure that the bill of material is compatible, they choose a module out of the production line. So you cannot send them this golden module that can pass all tests, and usually other tests you do that, you send them a module. Here, no, they come and they check and they take the module out of your production facility. So this test is very important to actually investigate what is going to happen to the module in a long period and also in harsh conditions. And I'm going to show you just an example. These are two tests that have been tested for the PID, which is potential induced degradation, a very, very big issue for solar modules. Both of the modules here, after 96 hours, have reduced 1% in efficiency. When they did another 96 hours, we had another 1% for the module on the top and another 11% for the module in the lower side. Both of these modules pass the standard IEC. Both of these modules can be assured to look the same on the data sheet. Both of these modules maybe will cost you the same, but to look into further details, I'm 100% sure, and we are all sure, if you put these two modules to perform in Abu Dhabi or in Oman or in Kuwait or somewhere in Africa where temperature is high, where there is humidity, there is definitely going to be a difference in how these modules are going to perform. We are very proud. Until 2021, we are very proud to be only one of two companies that have passed the top performer, which is a list of companies that perform pretty well in this test. We have been a top performer every year since the start of this test. Again, this test is free of charge. You can all go check it online. You can download the full test. You can check every test, what companies have passed, what companies have performed well, and it will add a lot of intelligence on your module selection. And there is another one. I'm not going to go through the detail. It is something very similar. It is the RETC test, which is a test that is done in the US, and it is becoming very popular because it's actually a very severe test. It takes into consideration the reliability, the quality, and the performance indicators, and they choose high achievers. And we are also proud to say that Jinko Solar is only one of, if I remember, it was 5 or 6 only suppliers who have passed as overall high achievers in 2021, and Jinko Solar is definitely one of them. To take these consideration, these are labs that invest millions in developing new technologies and new strategies to investigate a module. They do all the hard work for you, and they choose and they tell you the details about which products in the market are performing pretty well. And it is very important in our climate to keep an eye. You do not want to build a project and go back after 2-3 years where you have 20-30% of the modules underperforming because of the harsh conditions, or you have problems in the backsheet, or you see snail trails, or you see hotspots. So basically, it is very important to focus on these aspects in such climates. And because of our performance, because of our reliability, we are very happy to tell you that we are the company that supplied Abu Dhabi Swayhan project for 1,200 megawatt, which is the world's single location PV project so far, and it has been operating for over a year now, I think almost 2 years. In Abu Dhabi, the biggest project, and all of the modules were supplied directly from Jinko Solar. This shows this is a PPA, which means that this project is important for the developer to keep on performing very well for 25 or 20 or 30 years. So they investigate all these details. We are actually the company also supplying for the 900 megawatt fifth stage in Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park, which is the biggest stage of DIWA project in this park. And we have actually done a very good job to a point where I think phase 5 is going to be connected on grid before phase 4 because of how fast the supply was. And of course, we have supplied projects all over the world. Number one, we have the highest market share globally, more than 70 gigawatt by the end of last year. So, and we expect to exceed 100 gigawatt by this year. This is my short presentation showing just how important it is to focus on reliability and to not just look at data sheets or prices, because there is always what is beyond for the module selection. Especially these products are built to sustain a lifetime of over 25 years, and you need to protect your reputation and investment as a company, developer, end user, whatever it is. This is my contact info, or you can of course contact our partners in Jubaili, and we would love to always support as much as we can. Denisa, I am good for now.
About the warranty as well. How would Jinko cover the warranty? I know there different manufacturers have different policies. Do you replace the modules or try to, obviously if they're very damaged, you have to replace them. Do you have available stock in certain markets? And how can people access these replacements?
In terms of warranty, it is commonly, we have a global warranty, which is for all of our modules. Of course, each of the module has to be under the, we as an office in Dubai, we follow up of all of the claims in the Middle East and North Africa as a regional office. And basically, the warranty is a replacement warranty because you cannot fix a module. But I have been with Jinko Solar for almost now 1 year and a little bit, and we have never been through any warranty, to be honest. We do, of course, we have a technical service team located here in Dubai. They are willing to go and support if there is an issue anywhere, but the process is very simple. You send us the detail, you send us the problem, you take care. We will ask you for a few information. If the problem is in performance, we will ask you to do a simple test. If the problem is in fixation, we will ask for pictures or drawings of how the module was fixed. And basically, we do supply, it's either we will send you modules in return if it is proven to be an issue, because to be honest, I am in the market again, and people who worked with their own hands know the issues that happen in installation. So if you're not very careful with the solar module, there could be a lot of big problems. If you're not careful in the design, there could be a lot of problems, especially with shading, hotspots, and all these details. But if the process, if it is proven to be under the warranty, we will definitely, it's either we are going to send you replacement modules, or if we are in always in communication with that client, we're going to add that as some credit for their next orders in order to make it easier for everyone to do so. But again, we have an office here. We are one of the companies that are very close to everyone. My colleague, Mohammed Saadi, is a technical service manager, and this is his job. Anything we can supply, anything we can help in this regard, we can always support. In terms of some replacement, if we have stock, we have partners all over the region. Just like we are in great relationship with Jubaili to cover the Gulf region. We have also in North Africa, we have in Levant, and basically our partners support us and we support them in these kind of circumstances in order to assure the top quality and top service of our clients.
Awesome. Well, and congrats again to the Jinko team for all your accolades. I'm sure it took a lot of time to get all these certifications. I know especially government institutions can, can be a little tricky, and they are very thorough in their approval process. Okay, so thank you, Walid. Now we'll move on to Nick. And for our audience, I just wanted to let you know, if you joined us late, I enabled the Q&A mode. You can see it on the bottom right side. There's a chat box. And if you mark your message with a question mark, then it will be passed on to the Q&A mode. And at the end, we'll gather all these questions and get them answered for you. Now we'll move on to my colleague Nick. He's based in Kenya, actually, and we'll do a short presentation about Jubaili Bros Solar and the Huawei Fusion Solar Solutions, where our company is a value-added partner for Huawei Fusion Solar, a distribution and a technical partner. But Nick will tell you more. Thank you, Nick, and good luck.
Okay, thanks very much, Denisa. As she said, my name is Nick Lusson, and I work with Jubaili Bros Solar. I am based in Nairobi, Kenya, so I help manage this region of East Africa. So just to give you a bit of background on Jubaili Bros, we were founded in 1977 in Lebanon, and we've expanded into 14 different regions and different countries. Here's a profile of our solar team. We're in the Middle East, South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and South Asia as well. Here is a map of our global logistics reach. So everywhere you see a flag, we have customers or partners or distributors. So you can see we cover a wide variety of countries across Africa and South Asia. And we have 6 pillars of activities that we do to support our EPC customers. So we have product supply, which is where we can help you to procure your Huawei inverters, your Jinko panels, and we also have aluminum mounting structures and some other components like weather stations and things like that. Our second pillar is training. We do a lot of training on a wide variety of topics, including all about the Huawei Fusion Solar products and how to use them. The third pillar is engineering support. We can review your solar designs. We can make sure everything is optimized, nothing is missing. The fourth pillar is leads. Sometimes we receive inquiries directly from the end users, so we're happy to pass those along to our EPC partners. The fifth pillar is referral to finance. We have finance partners who can help you get your projects across the finish line. So if you're in need of that, we can assist. And the sixth pillar is after sales support. So this would be commissioning support, troubleshooting support, warranty support, and things like that. And here you can see our 4 categories of equipment that we supply. We have the Huawei Fusion Solar inverters. We have the Lumex aluminum mounting structures. We have the Jinko solar panels. We're very happy to work with them as a tier 1 supplier with extremely high quality and the most installed capacity in the world. And balance of system components like weather stations, power meters, AC combiners, and more. So that is the background. Now we're here today to talk about the benefits of reliable PV systems for the C&I sector. And we've just heard from Walid, who gave a very interesting and detailed discussion on the panels, of why it's important to have high quality panels and how it can affect the reliability of your PV systems. So now we're going to talk about the inverters, and we are the value-added partner of Huawei Fusion Solar. So this is what the topics I'll be covering. We'll talk about the high availability and the low failure rate of the inverter. We'll talk about some of the active safety features, including AFCI and the anti-PID. We'll talk about IV curve diagnostics, and then we'll conclude by showing you how we can help you to achieve this in your PV systems. The first point I want to raise is this concept of LCOE. LCOE means levelized cost of electricity. And this is a very important value when you're evaluating how well your PV plant is performing. So the way you calculate your LCOE is shown there on the screen. You take your capital expenditure, your CapEx. This is all your money that you've spent to build the system on day one. The cost of equipment, the cost of installation, all of that. Plus your operating expenses over time, so your OpEx. We can say 20 years as a good reference. So how much money did you spend to maintain and operate that PV plant? That's your OpEx. And then you divide that by the total electricity that has been generated over time. And that will give you the LCOE. It will tell you if you spent your money wisely. It will tell you if you are generating expensive electricity or good priced electricity. Now, this is very different from just measuring the cost of equipment on day one, because this value will take into consideration the reliability, the performance, and the yield that you get. So it's a much more comprehensive way of measuring if you have gotten a good value for your money. So with that in mind, first of all, Huawei has a very good performance efficiency. And you can see there's some of the values there on the top right. Our 200 kilowatt inverter has 99% efficiency, 100 KTL is 98.8. The 60 is 98.9, and the 20 is 98.3. So to begin with, Huawei will give you a very good performance. But beyond that, Huawei is extremely reliable, and it has the lowest failure rate on the market. The first thing that Huawei has done to achieve high reliability is they have identified certain parts of the inverter that will fail before the other parts of the inverter. We call these the vulnerable parts. These are the fuses, the buttons, and the LCD screens. So Huawei has designed their inverters to be without these vulnerable parts. There's no fuses, there's no LCD screens, there's no buttons. The lifetime of an inverter is around 20 years, but we know that buttons and LCD screen will tend to fail after 5 to 7 years. So Huawei has eliminated these vulnerable parts from the inverter in order to increase the reliability and increase the availability. Also, Huawei has a very innovative natural cooling mechanism. So the first thing to remember is that Huawei is a very large telecoms company. In fact, they've said 1/3 of the globe is served by Huawei telecoms. And this is an industry that requires high reliability, right? Because if the telecom sector goes down, the entire nations are affected. So in the telecom sector, Huawei has a reliability of 99.999%. It's extremely high. The good thing about Huawei is that they share lessons across the design platforms. So all of the lessons that Huawei has learned about in the telecom sector is incorporated into the design of the inverters. So you get the benefit of 30 plus years in the telecom sector around the world. So what that means is Huawei, in the telecom sector, it requires you to have sensitive electronic equipment outdoors for long periods of time. So Huawei has become very good at keeping sensitive electronics at the right temperature. And this is incorporated into the inverter. You can see it there on the right side of your screen. It's called a variable thickness heat sink. So what that is, on the back of the inverter, you can see it pictured there. It's the fins. They're standing out of the back like this. It allows the air to pass through and it removes the heat very effectively. When Huawei designed this, they were using thermal scans of the inverter. So they know which parts of the inverter get the hottest. And the heat sink is designed specifically to remove the heat very effectively. So what that results in, Huawei has the lowest failure rate on the market. It is third-party certified, less than 0.5%. That means for every 1,000 inverters, less than 5 will have an issue. So that's extremely reliable. There's some manufacturers who would be happy to have a failure rate of 5%. And let's look at the bottom left of the screen there just for a moment. We have a temperature derating curve that's shown there. So Huawei has a very great temperature derating curve. That means it can be used in the harshest conditions on Earth. In some of the hottest deserts, they're using Huawei inverters with great success. So every inverter has a slightly different derating curve, so you should look that up. But here we have the example of the 20 kilowatt example. So up to 45 degrees Celsius, there's no derating. At 45 degrees Celsius, it comes slightly down. Actually, at 45 degrees Celsius, you can get 110%. You can get 22 kilowatts. And then above 45 degrees Celsius, it comes down to 100%. So this lets you know that these inverters are very successful in hot climates and harsh conditions. And this slide is showing just some key points from the manufacturing process that allow Huawei to achieve high reliability. So they have machines that assemble things with a failure fit rate that is 100 times more precise than some of the other manufacturers. Also, the capacitor internal lifespan is much higher. So these are the manufacturing process components that contribute to high reliability. And this screen is showing some of the extreme testing that Huawei does with the inverters. So there is a salt mist spray test where the inverter is exposed to high humidity and high salt mist, and it's successful. There's also high altitude test, dust proof test, high heat, high humidity. And actually my favorite test is called the HALT test, H-A-L-T, highly accelerated life test. This is when Huawei will heat the inverter to 70 degrees Celsius. Then they will freeze the inverter to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Then they will vibrate the inverter and switch it on and off. And they do this 1,500 times. So that lets you know they are going through some very rigorous testing to meet the strictest quality standards. And that's why you get the most reliable inverter on the market. And at the bottom, you can see these are examples used in salt mist conditions by the ocean, in hot and sandy deserts in Golmud, China, in high humidity conditions like floating solar, also on rooftop and also on high altitudes. These inverters can work in all conditions. So next, I'll briefly talk about some of the safety features that add to the reliability. Huawei has 14 safety features that are standard. All of these are included. You don't have to pay extra for them. But I just want to speak in a little bit of detail about two different ones, two different safety features. The first is AFCI. This is arc fault circuit interruption. An arc happens when there is a loose connection or a damaged wire and there's some voltage, and the electricity can jump the gap there. And you can see the picture on the screen. The danger is that this arc can instantly reach 3,000 degrees Celsius. So this is a great fire hazard. The solution, Huawei has AFCI built in. And basically, it will shut down power to that arc fault in less than 2 seconds. Basically, when the arc happens, the entire length of cable will become very hot, and the inverter has a temperature sensor inside the inverter. So if one of the cables becomes hot, it will shut down the power in less than 2 seconds. And this is very far ahead of the international standards. So here you can see on the screen, especially for CNI conditions, Huawei has the safest and most reliable solution, because this AFCI, the international standard, requires that it can be detected 80 meters away from the inverter. Huawei can detect up to 200 meters away. So that's like 150% more than the international standard. This is particularly good for CNI installations, like you see on the screen there on the picture. You may have very long rows of strings and panels in your PV array. So it's better to have the extra 200 meters of arc fault detection. Also, the international standard requires only detection up to 16 amperes. Huawei can detect up to 26 amperes. Now onto the anti-PID. So PID is potential induced degradation. And this is something that will affect the production of your panels. And it happens in high humidity and high temperature conditions. Basically, the negative ions in the atmosphere will accumulate at the positive terminals of your panel, and it will block the electricity. So Huawei has an innovation that is built into the inverter. Basically, at night, it will send positive ions to the panels to counteract the accumulation of negative ions. So this is built into the inverter, and this is why in high humidity and high temperature conditions, Huawei is your most reliable solution. And here we are looking at the Fusion Solar app. This is a monitoring device that it's on your phone. You can check it anywhere in the world. You can monitor the performance of your PV plant. So you'll be able to know if there's any problems, if there's any alerts or alarms, or if it's producing well, or if there's any challenges. But with this app, we have a very special feature called the IV curve diagnostics. And what this is, it's a way to do an IV scan on your entire PV array. Previously, the old way to do this is if you notice that your plant is not producing as much as you thought it would, maybe you're only getting 70 or 80% production, you would have to send your technicians to the site of the PV panels, and you would have to try to do an inspection. So you would shut down the power while your technicians are on site. And then they would have to go with their equipment to test all of the strings, because some of these problems cannot be seen by the naked eye. There's probably too many panels for them to do 100% inspection. So they would have to do a random sampling. Then after 2 or 3 days of that, they have to accumulate their results into a report, which could take 2 weeks. And then you hope that they were able to identify the problem. Instead, with the IV curve diagnostics through the app, with a push of a button, you will get a 100% scan of your PV strings. You will get string level information that will look like this, and it will tell you the potential causes of any challenges. So it will tell you in string 2, you have dirt cover. In string 4, you have hidden cracks in the panels. In string 6, you have glass breakage. And then you're able to respond directly. So this will save you a ton of money on your O&M costs. This is used in over 7 gigawatts of applications, helping to reduce their O&M costs and improve the performance, improve the reliability very easily. And we also have optimizers. PV optimizers, they go on the back of the panels. And when you have these in place, when you do the IV curve diagnostics, you will get module level information. So without the optimizers, it will tell you which strings are having which issues. If you have the optimizers in place, it will tell you which modules are having the issues. It will tell you in string 2, panel 10 is dirty, go clean it. In string 4, panel 6 and 8 have hidden cracks. So the optimizers will help you add to your reliability, to your ability to monitor remotely. And in conclusion, I would just like to remind you how we can support you. So we can supply you the highest quality products. We can train you on how to use them to the best possible. We can help you with your engineering designs and make sure that everything is going as planned well. We can sometimes provide you leads. We can sometimes provide you referral to finance, and we can certainly help with the after sales, help you troubleshoot and get the most return on your investment for your projects. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was helpful for you. And I believe now we are going to open up with some questions led by Denisa.
Feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. In the meantime, I want to remind you that at the moment, Jubaili Bros, in partnership with Huawei, we have developed a solar installer certification program. And what that means is engineers that take this training course will then be passing a Huawei exam, and then they will be verified, certified to install Huawei equipment on sites. And obviously, this will not alleviate all the questions that all the issues that could arise during installation, but it will be enabling you to do a better job at installing and maintain safety of the site, and you won't have to go through all the tedious installation manuals. So we've put together a series of 5 modules. You can find them on our events page. Otherwise, I'll just send everyone that attended a link to register. So yeah, now that we're done with the presentations, let's look at the questions real quick. So there's a question from Saeed. Dear Walid, I think that technical specs. Sorry, I'll just publish it. The technical specs that increase the quality of the modules should be mentioned in the data sheet so that the EPC contractor can show these to the customer.
Well, it is true, and technical specs are published on the data sheet. So you open the data sheet, you find the current, you find the voltage, you find the temperature coefficient, you find the positive tolerance, you find all these details that show the technical specs or advantages of any product. But what it does not show is that how reliable is this product going to be. It only provides you with a warranty for a generational warranty. So what is going to happen after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what is going to happen in terms of generation. But to analyze the reliability of a product, what is going to happen after years and years of using is something that is usually an extra work that the EPC contractors should do. And we see a great interest in this kind of details from the developers more than the contractors, because developers own the project for the entire lifetime and they sell electricity. So for them, they care a lot about what is going to happen to the system overall, and especially the modules, since they are the most expensive component in the system. What is going to happen to this component after 10 years, 15 years? This is why we are always asked for extensive testing results for all of the developers on all of the big projects. And in my opinion, EPC contractors should do that as well, because it is the reputation of the company. It is the product that you are selling for anyone who is buying such a product. It is very important to not just look at the technical aspects, but to also look at the signs of high durability and reliability for the product.
Thank you, Walid. And I think Saeed completed his question with a mention here. I think he also mentioned that he's referring to the extra features that Jinko products have. We can wait for him to let us know what he means by extra features. In the meantime, we can move forward. We have a question here. How much do the snail trails affect the efficiency and percentage?
Snail trails are a very big problem for solar modules, but how much, I'm trying to think of a percentage. I think if a snail trail does cut the entire cell, it's going to turn off the complete bypass diode. So we are talking about almost a little bit more than 30%. This is the worst case scenario, of course. We are talking a little bit around 30 to 35% in full cell modules, and maybe 1/6, which is half of that for half-cut modules. But still, if you have snail trails, then there is a problem in the structure of the module. So you're going to have a snail trail here, you're going to have a snail trail here. If you have it in all over the module, it could shut off the module completely. And if the module is shut off, it's going to have massive problems on the inverter. Nick can maybe emphasize on this. When you have one string with a lower voltage or a lower let's focus on voltage, and then it is combined on a single MPPT with other strings, then definitely the impact is going to be much bigger than the exact module or that exact string. So a snail trail can start from one part of the module. It can have an impact on the entire string, entire MPPT at certain points. So definitely replace the module directly. It's not Jinko Solar 100%.
Okay. Maybe we should just eradicate snails then. Cool. Nick, do you have anything to complete with that? I know Huawei has an optimizer solution that can isolate a dirty module from the rest of the system and ensure the maximum performance.
Yes. So yeah, you know, snail trails and other problems with the modules, they aren't always detected quickly because, you know, if you don't have someone looking at the panels every day, you may not see that it's easy for these problems to grow over time. And as Walid said, if it cuts over one diode, you're losing a third or a sixth. If it does this multiple times, you're losing much more. And then it affects the voltage in the string. And so it can easily snowball into a bigger problem. If you have the PV optimizers, very quickly you will be alerted on your phone of which panels have hidden cracks or which panels are partially shading or underperforming. So the optimizers will definitely help you identify these problems early, but when the effect is still small, before it affects the whole diode, the whole panel, the whole string.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I think that is very a very detailed response, and I really believe that optimizer solutions should be implemented, especially in areas where you can't send an O&M team to check your system on a constant basis. So, thank you. Okay, Walid, this one is for you. So everyone will wrap up shortly. We'll just going through some questions. Is Jinko conducting any training programs?
Not really. We do not do training programs because we are a solar module supplier. We are not educational facility, but we do have a lot of webinars with partners like yours, and we also have our own webinars where you can follow us on social media, and usually we take new aspects and the new details to tell a little bit about more than Jinko Solar. But as a training program, we do not have something specialized. And Sayed here just he commented, maybe I can take that also very fast. He said like extra features like the details we have discussed, like the PQP, the RTEC. And to be honest, Sayed, we do say it on a regular basis, but the datasheet is a standard form that requires standard testing. So basically we focus on adding these details. But if you go over if you talk with any employee of Jinko Solar or even our partners in Jubaili Bros, they are gonna definitely mention all these extra details that you can use with your clients, and we can provide you with all the supporting documents as well. And just to keep it in mind that we have a product that stays in the market for 2-3 years. Let's say the Tiger product started in 2019. It is expected to last for 3-4 years. So usually these tests are done every year. So we cannot update the datasheet every time we get a new certificate or update the certificate. So basically we add the basics on the datasheet, and definitely we have supporting documents. We have actually a document called Why Jinko Solar that we update every year, and it has all these extra details. You can ask it from Jubaili Bros anytime.
Awesome. Okay, we'll have a couple of more questions and then wrap it up. I'm sure everyone from the Middle East is dying to go home, start the weekend. What is the highest wattage of PV modules that Jinko has currently? And can we have a view from top to bottom?
Well, okay. Basically, Jinko Solar has 2 editions now. So we have the Tiger and we have the Tiger Pro. The Tiger Pro is the module with the bigger size, with the bigger wafer size or cell size, and some people call. So basically, we have the 78, 72 cell from this edition, which is sold a lot. And we have also the 58, but it is not very common in this region. So basically, we have a power class of Tiger Pro that can reach up to 590 to be supplied right away, 590 watts. For the 72, we are talking about 545, 540 watt, And for the Tiger, which is the smaller size in cells, which is more compatible with residential installations, we are talking about a 460 to 470 watt power. If you want more details, definitely my email address was shown, and I can share it now in the chat again. You can contact me. I can send you all of the updated data sheets of our products that are available. And definitely Jubaili Bros, they are ready to support in the same task as well.
Great, thank you. And related to the next question, I know in the past maybe there was a misconception that mono panels were a little more expensive than the poly modules, and obviously more efficiency. Could you update us on the current difference in quality and performance between these two?
Well, basically, poly and mono are two different structures, but we apply the same technologies to them. So you can have a PERC technology for mono, and you can have it for poly. But the world is phasing out the use of polysilicon modules and polycrystalline, sorry. So for Jinko Solar, it has been a little bit, I think something around 2 years since we stopped manufacturing polycrystalline modules completely, because the world now is always looking for what is more efficient. And as Nick said, everybody now focuses on the levelized cost of energy. People stopped looking at how much does this cost, and they are now analyzing is that this is how much I'm gonna pay, and this is how much I'm gonna get in return. So when you see these big, massive companies like Aqua, Masdar, Marubeni, Total, Jinko Power, the biggest developers in the world, they focus on having the lowest levelized cost of energy, and they ask for the newest technologies, they ask for the newest additions in order to maximize the generation of the plant and reduce their levelized cost of energy to the minimum. Basically, we do not have a polycrystalline. And if I remember, out of the top 5 suppliers, only one of them now produces a polycrystalline modules, and they are phasing it out. So basically, the world is turning completely to monocrystalline. This is why all of our testings are done for the monocrystalline modules, which is the available product now.
Great, thank you for clarifying that, and thank you, Conrad, for your question. And the last question, what about MC4 connectors compatibility, especially if somebody is using Jinko modules, but the string MC4 connecting with modules is from a different brand? I think this is a very common question, and yeah, if you could clarify it for us.
Well, Jinko Solar have we do manufacture our connectors as well, and they are MC4 compatible. But I know in certain cases you need special kinds, especially from the inverter side, in some cases, and it is definitely because the module is not connected directly to the inverter. As you know, there is always a DC cable connecting the string to the inverter. Usually, it is not put directly, so our connectors are compatible with MC4, and the connectors that come out of the modules are compatible, are MC4 design, and we do supply connectors directly. Approach us or approach Jubaili for that. And from the inverter side, I think it's Nick's part to answer about the compatibility of the connectors for the inverter.
Yes, thank you. Most of the Huawei inverters use MC4 connectors. I believe only the 50 and 60 KTL are still using Amphenol connectors. So be careful with that, because you can find the right connector in the user manual. I think almost all of them are MC4 except the 50 and 60, but make sure you refer to the user manual to be sure.
Great. Well, this is very, very interesting. Thank you for making my first session extremely entertaining and being very active. At the moment, we have a lot of attendees that requested the presentation, so we will make sure everyone has the recording at the end and the presentations after this session. And you will also receive a certificate of attendance automatically sent from the system. If that is all, we're happy to receive suggestions for future events. We love doing events between us and Jinko Solar, and we're happy to cover any hot topics that that you might need us to elaborate on. Thank you for attending again. Thank you, Waleed. Thank you, Nick. And we'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Denisa. Thank you, Jubaili.
Yeah, thank you, Denisa. Great job. Thank you, Waleed. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Goodbye.